Hey everybody, it's Gomladex, and the Magic Arena Cube is back. If you've never done a cube draft before, it is a draft format where instead of drafting from a specific set of booster packs, like you do in a booster draft, you are drafting from a curated list of cards that is known as a cube. So it's a bunch of the strongest cards from the history of Magic the Gathering, in particular the Arena Cube, a bunch of the strongest cards from the entirety of Magic Arena. Pretty cool format. If you want to see everything that you can be drafting and playing with in this format, you can look at that full event card pool. There is one of every card in a traditional cube, but this time around they've done something a little bit different where they have added more mana fixing. So there's actually three of each fetch land and two of each shock, which it doesn't even tell you in the card pool. But you can actually get multiple of the same fetch land, multiple of the same shock land within the draft, which is really interesting, buffing up those mana bases a bit. But yeah, essentially, you're just drafting for the fun of the event here. Since it is an event, we're going to be drafting a ton of rares and mythics, a bunch of the strongest cards from the entirety of Arena. You're not keeping everything that you draft here. You are simply playing for the prizes on the tracker as well as the fun of the event. But that is the Arena Cube. That is what the Cube Draft is going to be. Without further ado, let's hop into the format and see what's going on this time around in the Arena Cube. All right, and here we are for our Pack 1 Pick 1, and within a Cube Draft like an Arena Cube Draft, you can really kind of focus on the kind of decks and archetypes that you like the best because there's so many powerful cards in the cube, you can end up in a powerful strategy, kind of whatever direction you head with it. So there's no super massively clear pack one, pick one very often in the cube. There's tons of just ridiculously powerful cards in here, like Tameo for blue decks early in the game. You can get a ton of value off of this, getting all those clue tokens, and then in the late game, after you flip her, she goes crazy. Just a lot of value for only one mana. Lutri is ridiculous in cube. This is essentially a singleton environment. Again, you could get multiples of specific non-basic lands, but everything else in the cube, there's only one copy of it, which means no matter what you're drafting, you can always run Lutri in the companion slot and have essentially an 8th card in your hand at the start of every game, so great card advantage there off of Lutri. There's solid, efficient, cheap removal like Lightning Strike, Condemn, March of Otherworldly Light. There's the huge green beef of a Gonosaur Rex, or you can go the Coward's route, which I often like to do, which is just taking mana fixing really highly. I think if there was any fetch land in here, I would easily just pack one, pick one, a fetch. I think those are some of the highest picks in the whole cube because they're super, super flexible mana. But I'll actually go for like the super beef here. I'm kind of partial to it. A Gonosaur Rex kind of just super, super beefy green deck. Pick number 2. Some really efficient red removal spells out of here. We also have the full-on board wipe of Toxic Deluge out of black. That's pretty good. Kiора's good card selection. Can be a huge finisher later once you've got the grave full. Again, I'm probably not mentioning your favorite card in most of these packs because I could just read off what every single card in the pack does and I'd be mentioning a bunch of powerful spells. So those are definitely options. There's Blood Crypt for fixing. I don't love Malevolent Rumble. Kind of a weird card to put in here. Lumra is like a really slow kind of late game finisher. Also not the biggest fan of that. But it'd be fine top end for an Agonosaur Rex deck. I think I'd rather just take the board wipe here, grab a Toxic Deluge. Don't be like totally married to green aggro here. Yeah, like now we've got Infernal Grasp for really flexible removal. Although there's a Triome here too. So what's so great about the fetch lands is because this cube is full of shock lands and triomes and tap lands and stuff, most non-basic lands have all of the basic land types of their respective colors, and the fetch land is going to let you grab a mountain or plains, right? Well, if you've drafted enough triomes and dual lands and stuff, a fetch land can just get you literally whatever color you need. Because even if I have like an arid mesa that usually just cracks for a mountain or a plains, I can crack it and get a swamp because I have Zayator's Proving Ground in my deck. Or I can crack it and get a forest because I have Zayator's Proving Ground in my deck. I can get a full-on triome off of those fetch lands. So triomes and fetch lands, those are the non-basics you want to take super, super highly. And I think it would be very reasonable to just take that here, honestly, over Grasp. But I don't mind the Grasp either. Nor do I mind some of the other powerful stuff here, like Leyline Binding. But, you know, I'll actually keep it more open and grab the Proving Ground. I think I've talked myself into it. Triomes are nuts. I did not know that I have the clue artwork for Steam Vents, or that the cube just defaults to the cube or the Clue artwork for Steam Vents. That's very cute. This pack, apologies to anyone if their favorite card is in here, but this pack actually looks really bad to me. I don't really like any of these cards just in general. I guess there's good like mono white aggro cards like Thali and Brimaz here. Those are fine. Perforator Crocodile's the weird Alchemy Massacre Worm that I guess is fine too. Miniature Board Wipe. Toss it in here with our other one, looks fine. Or just like mediocre cheap removal like Burst Lightning or Collective Brutality, I guess. I'll take the Perforator. Pick number 5. Ooh, Luris. I don't think Luris is nearly as good in the Arena Cube as it would be in like a Vintage Cube where you have access to cards like Black Lotus and Moxes and stuff. Just really, really cheap, super, super good permanents. Arena Cube, it's much harder to build around it as your companion, but it can still be a solid card just in your 23 null-9 cards in your main deck. I can also just take Murderous Cut here, stick pretty deep to black. Take a Nissa for a solid Planeswalker. Green Shell's pretty slow, but very, very big. Keeps getting you lands. Or drawing the spells. Yeah. Bunch of super powerful cards as before, but I'm going to take that Luris. Ooh, Overlord of the Baelmerk is huge value. Oh, but Wooded Foothills, pick 6. I think the fetches are probably going to go a little bit later than normal this time around because there's 3 of each in this cube. Oh, wow, this pack is loaded. Also, Once Upon a Time. Great, great card selection you can cast for free if it's the first spell that you cast, which is obviously ridiculous. There's the Board Wipe on a stick of Harvester of Misery, another one of these miniature Massacre Worm type spells, but the Overlord again just being super, super huge value. I'm relatively deep to black right now. I kind of want to stick to it. I really don't want to pass a Wooded Foothills, but I feel like deep enough on black to do so. Like I might even just lean towards mono black currently. I'm going to take this Overlord. Get the incredible value play. There's cut down for super efficient removal here. Chandra's super powerful. I mean, the whole pack is super powerful, but with what we're taking right now, a really efficient black removal spell looks great. Cruelty of Gix is a good mid-rangey 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 kind of play. Looks great for a really controlling black deck, which is how we're starting this draft off. Darkstar Augur is cool, but you need either a lot of life gain or a really aggressive mana curve. I do not want to play this deck, or I do not want to play this card in a deck that has a lot of 5 and 6 mana spells, or it's really going to end up shooting ourselves for way too much damage. And we already have 1 5 and 6 drop, and I really wouldn't mind more, especially when I'm like taking another 5 drop here. So go Cruelty of Gix on that. Black looks really open. I think this was every black spell that was initially in this pack, but I'll take the Guardian Idol here to ramp towards 5 6 drops in our slower kind of black deck here. 3 mana 3/3 Death Touch Lifelink. If you gain 4 or more life, you get a Mox Pearl. If you're black white, you can make one of your other creatures gain lifelink to be able to do that. Does seem like there's a little bit of a lifelink theme going on here. Pearl Collector might actually be sweet too. I'll try that out. Pick 10. Okay, now we just have a bunch of red spells, so just take the really efficient red removal for a more controlling Rakdos build, because that's what we'll end up in if we end up playing. Shove Aside is literally just strictly better Strikel. If we end up playing Rakdos here, because all our red cards are really controlly. Pick 11, or all our black cards are really controlly. Wow, I cannot think today. Pick 11 is a bunch more red. Red remains looking really open. I think Draconox Engineer, well, no, Bloodthirsty Adversary is nice and flexible. It's just a great little hasty threat if you're the aggro red deck, but it is the kind of kicker ability that you do like even in slower decks. If I've got enough cheap burn spells and removal spells like Cut Down, Burst Lightning, then casting this later and recasting one of those cheap removal spells is good. Okay, I guess we're Rakdos here. Okay, draft pot. Okay, I see where I'm supposed to be. We are Rakdos, so we can take Blood Crypt here. With how open red is, as controlling as our initial black spells have been that we've drafted, if red is this open, most of the best red cards in this cube are really aggressive creatures. So if this color bear is going to be super open, I can pivot to a much more aggressive deck, even though I took a bunch of controlling cards early. So there's definitely an argument for Terrors of the Track, because I think this is great for an aggressive deck. 2 mana, 2/1 flyer. You attack with it, you put another copy in your hand, get to cast that as well. It's draining life whenever creatures are dying, so it's an evasive threat that shoots your opponent even if they're killing your stuff. I'm going to take Terrors of the Track here. Pack 2, pick 2. Yeah, if we went the full control route, the Atali is definitely a top-end card for a slower red deck. But I think, again, I'm going to pivot to the more aggressive route. I like Inti here. Card engine that's also just shoving extra damage in there. Yeah, Deep Cavern Bat's great. You pull the removal out of your opponent's hand to keep your stuff alive until they kill the bat. Yeah, Inti, Cavern Bat, Swift Squeeze are all really good. Just go Bat here. I'm definitely deeper on black than red still. And those are pretty comparably strong. Pick 3. Splash a little bit of blue for Triumphant Getaway. When it enters Heist an opponent's library twice, when you cast those 2 spells against them, you drain them for a couple. Okay, cute if you draft a whole bunch of Heisting, but there's not an insane amount. I think I prefer Goblin Rabblemaster for an army in a can, or Den of the Bugbear for land that can spit out some creatures later if you're flooding. Pyromancer's not bad either. Let's go Rabblemaster though. Pick 4. Legion Warboss is basically just another Rabblemaster. Don't mind if I do. Some good cards for a slower deck like Cold Steel, Sky Sovereign, Dracosaur. And those would be fine in here too. Pick 5. Unholy Heat to get something out of the way. Conscript is cute. I don't think there's an infinite for it in this cube. They definitely didn't put Splinter Twin in. Or the original Kiki Chiki, but I guess if you get Fable of the Mirror Breaker and then you flip it. But even then you have to spend a mana, so that's still not infinite. Am I excited enough to take Unholy Heat over Marsh Flats? Actually. Because I do have double reds and double blacks that are kind of difficult, and I've got a decent amount of cheap removal already. I don't know, I think Unholy Heat's one of the better cheap removal spells, though. Because if you get to that Delirium, it's insane. 6 damage for 1 mana on a blocker. Pick 6. Rakdos in a lot of formats is technically kind of a sack deck. In here, it is a bit, because you do have Rabblemaster and Warboss kind of cards for the Goblin Bombardment. So Goblin Bombardment or Bitter Blossom do look reasonable for what our deck's doing. Triggers a lot of terrors of the track life loss too. Yeah, I like both of those a lot. Dragon Rage Channel are also quite good. I don't have a lot of 1 mana plays. Could be really beefy for the cost. Kind of like going all in though. Try out the really focused sack deck. Grab the Goblin Bombardment for it. Crucius is insane. Overlord is insane. Magda's pretty great. I'm going to take Crucius here. 3 mana, 3/1. At the beginning of your end step, you can discard a card, get a treasure token, and then choose Ambitious or Expedient. So you basically just choose if you want a card that costs more or less mana than it. So it's a discard a card, draw a card every turn, and make a treasure every turn, and you get to kind of choose what you're drawing, a big spell or a little spell. So Crucius is really, really good. Pick 8. Bituminous Blast, even with Cascade, feels a bit expensive. I'd almost rather just Firecraft because I could shoot somebody in the face with that. I don't really think I need Firebrand. Okay, we got the Blood Crypt. It's pretty sick. Got the Inti for the Swift Spear. Actually, for curve purposes, let's get a 1-drop in. Actually get to start really early here. Here's Den of the Bugbear. I don't think Rabbit Battery's a good enough 1-drop to take. Got the Dracosaur back. A little bit of top end there. We got a Conscript to go with Goblin Bombardment, which is fun. I don't know. I feel like the thing that I always feel in these arena cubes, like I wanted to take Bombardment here because I think it would be cute and it would be fun to try to do the full sacrifice thing. But the way that I always feel is that the cards in the regular arena cube are just so individually powerful that you don't really need to or want to focus super deep on specific synergy plays like Goblin Bombardment that are only particularly good when you are getting the Rabble Master or War Boss, when it's like I could just have a bunch of cards that are just super good no matter what, when I draw them and no matter what other cards I draft with them. So I don't know how well this bombardment's gonna work out, but it was one of the cooler, spicier looking cards, if we can get it to work. Pack 3, pick 1. Pack's medium. I like Kolagon's command. I don't think anybody else should be drafting that, though. So I think that should wheel, based on how the draft pot has gone. Although there's definitely 5 color decks between all the fetches, shocks, the Golos and stuff like that is in this cube. Take a light up the stage for a really aggressive draw spell. Or I could play some of my beefier spells and still go, you know, a little more mid-rangey, have a little more top end where light up the stage is worse because it can hit some 5-6 drops here. Yeah, and then Lavamancer could be really good over the long course of a game and something mid-rangey. I'll take Lavamancer. Pack 3, pick 2. There are incredible cards here whichever way we go. So, Sheoldred, obviously, if we're more mid-rangey and we want some more beef higher on the curve. Screaming Nemesis if I want to go full light speed aggro. Xander's Lounge if I want more fixing. Nowhere to Run if I want more removal. This pack is very, very good. Hellrider if I want to go all in on making a bunch of tokens. Still. But again, that feels a little too synergy driven when I can just take something individually incredible like Sheoldred or Nemesis. I think it's Sheoldred or Nemesis for me here. I'm going to go a little more top end here because I already have a bunch of great top ends, so let's go a little slower, a little more grindy. Then all in on super cheap stuff where cards like Bone Crusher Giant can play super well. Blow up one of their cards and still have a 4/3 creature left, but then there's also Graveyard Trespasser. Gains you a bunch of life against the more aggressive decks. They have to 2-for-1 themselves to kill this thing because you have to discard a card to target it in the first place. Flips into a 4/4. There's also great removal with Bloodchief's Thirst. This is such a great Rakdos pod. Kind of wanted to end up drafting a bunch of lands and really showing off the power of like fetches and shocks and stuff, and then like Rakdos are so wide open. It's like we just get to be an incredible Rakdos deck, whatever we do. I feel like I've got a really great count of just non-creature removal spells, so I'm just going to go for raw threats here. Although I will go Giant over Trespasser. That's really close. But I like the removal plus creature that it gives us. Grenzo's a great top-end spell, and we are slow and grindy enough, even with a pretty aggressive curve, by being kind of a mid-range deck where we have cheap aggro cards and late-game finishers. We can absolutely run a Grenzo in here and use this to take over the game. They nerfed him a lot. Right, so Grenzo used to be you would heist your opponent's deck, and you would cast their spells against them for free. What was so absurd about that is you could easily just be taking 5 and 6 drops and just play Grenzo and play 2 bombs in one turn. I have a Grenzo on board and I have your Nissa or something, and you have to deal with both of these to have a chance this game. It doesn't really do that anymore. You can only cast the mana value 3 or less spells that you're heisting off of Grenzo for free, but Grenzo is still really, really strong. And the way that that heist mechanic works allows you to look at 3 cards from your opponent's deck, so odds are you'll see something you can cast for free if you need to, and if you're not under that much pressure, you can still take their big 6-drop to cast against them manually the next turn. So the Theater's really fine here. Facebreaker's fine for mana. Cutthroat's fun for the big, put a bunch of creatures out and sack them for synergy kind of stuff, but I think I'm leaning more towards grinding out a longer game, getting more removal here, which also makes me not care about the Robber that much. I think I'm taking Theater, just getting my mana working out. Yeah, now we take Obliterating Bolts or Mind Stone actually to ramp into this stuff. I don't think I need to ramp into this stuff when I can just kill all the early plays to just survive till I hit 5-6 mana instead. I'll take Obliterating Bolts. Pick 7. Death Shadow is cool. A really cool card. Want to see somebody draft a great Death Shadow deck in this cube, but I don't think that this deck is that. Yeah, some other random cards I don't really care about. I think this pack's pretty much a miss for us. I mean, I'll take the Death Shadow, but I don't think I can put it in here. Pick 8. Oh, Bloodstained Mire. You don't have to take on-color fetches, right? I have Blood Crypt and Raucous Theater, which means any fetch land that grabs a swamp or a mountain, it doesn't matter which one. So I could grab like a green-red fetch or a blue-black fetch or anything like that, and it would still grab all my duels. But Bloodstained Mire works too. It's kind of funny that the exact perfect one showed up when it wasn't even necessary here. So there's the Kolagon's Command for more interaction. That one's a great 2-for-1 quite often. Wow, red is so open. These are all the really aggressive red cards, which would be fine, but I'm going a little more late game. I'm taking nowhere to run here. Getting all the removals. Here's Graveyard Trespasser. Okay, Howl Squad Heavy's kind of funny here. To have Rabblemaster and Heavy and War Boss all together means if I reach max speed, I get 1,000,000 mana off Howl Squad Heavy. Okay, between Rabblemaster, Heavy, and War Boss, I think I can try Cutthroat stuff. This would have been a sick pod for just the full aggro Rakdos too. It was just so monumentally open. I think everybody must be drafting some kind of green mush. But the Rakdos stuff is so monumentally open that we could be playing the super aggressive Rakdos deck or the super controlling Rakdos deck or kind of the mid-rangey in-between, and we're on the mid-rangey in-between here. Wild, wild pod. I have to cut a lot of cards. So I'm going to play out a pretty basic, pretty simple mid-range build here, which is that average 15 to 17 creature draft deck. I don't think I'm playing the creatures that can't block, but I don't mind playing a few 1-drops here. 2 mana, I want to have at least like 5 of these ideally. Cutthroat is fun with the Goblin Producers. It's kind of it for really good stuff there. I mean, I could also just cut all the Goblin Producers, really. Just a bunch of super, super standalone threats. I feel like I'm dropping the Goblin Bombardment nonsense. I just like how these all play in a card advantage oriented kind of deck. This is a 2-for-1. This 2-for-1's off the ward. This 2-for-1's by recasting stuff. This is a card engine throughout the game. I think these are all really good for this kind of deck. We don't want the conscripts if I'm not playing Bombardment. Overlord I can Impending on 2. Crocodile I could cycle on 2, but I just don't think I'm ever doing that. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Still 18 creatures. Jeez. This can be kicked on 5, recasting removal. The curve's looking more like this. I'm getting pretty grindy here. Maybe we just cut the just pure aggro 1-drops. And then this is the removal, card selection, ramp, 2-for-1, hand disruption, removal, 2-for-1. Yeah, these are like just the grind fest oriented Rakdos cards here. This looks like it's got a definite plan here. It doesn't have incredibly obvious, incredibly pure synergies of like make a bunch of tokens and Goblin Bombardment them away. But it does just have a ton of value kind of cards that are really good at playing super consistently, whatever position we're in, like throughout the game. So I really like this kind of really flexible sort of mid-range deck with the kind of cards that we've drafted here and wanting to play the big 5s and 6s. So let's do that. And then I just need to cut 4 non-creature cards now. Kind of just a whole stack of removal here, so we just cut a little bit of that. Maybe the double red's a little hard to cast, and I don't really care about shooting face much in this deck. As much as just efficiency of like Obliterating Bolt over that. Play with fire. Kill smaller things than the rest. Burst Lightning can be kicked. See, I think those 2 are the first we cut. 2 more to go still. Not the greatest in the universe at hitting Delirium. I've got the 1 fetch land for a land engrave. I don't really have any surveilling going on. Or a lot of discard or anything. Yeah, I think I cut Unholy Heat as well. 1 final cut. Maybe Burst Lightning slightly inefficient. 1 mana, 2 damage, 5 mana, 4. Seems fine to me. I mean, I could also cut another creature here, though. Like, because I'm pretty mid-rangey, I've got a bunch of card advantage spells. I probably don't end up empty-handed too much for fear of missing out to not discard a card when we play it. I mean, but still, the card selection isn't bad of discard a card, draw a card. You're just only really happy when you have, like, no cards in hand and you drop this, then you're like, yeah, I live the dream. But, I mean, this might not be the worst cut. Maybe Trespasser. Yeah, I could still, like, cut a creature instead of Burst Lightning. Maybe Lavamancer's a bit slow here with the lower instant sorcery count now. Less cards ending up in the grave, no self-mill really. Well, the one Overlord. If I Overlord and Lavamancer, it's got all the fuel in the world, but that's like one really good combo with it. No, Crucius is discarding and drawing over and over again as well. I guess there are some Lavamancer combos, which means that there's some Delirium combos too for FOMO and the removal spell I cut. Yeah, probably underrated a little bit, but I'm gonna cut another creature here. I'm gonna drop the FOMO. And then we've got a deck. Yeah, solid little Rakdos mid-range brew to start us off this time around on the Arena Cube. Without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are, starting off great with the Forced Mole, sadly. The mana base is pretty good here. We have like 11 sources of each color, I think, so pretty big bummer. And we're going to draw no non-basic lands today, but this is a keepable hand. So we'll get this one rolling. Aw, don't rub it in my face like that. Don't lead with Bloodstained Mire. I've got one of those too. Here's Lavamancer. Blue to Delta. So it's going to be some 4-color plus good stuff. I expect that to be a whole lot of the cube this time around. When it was a super, super wild decision to throw in triple fetch, double shock. It's going to be... I feel like it might feel more chromatic than the chromatic cube, honestly. The mana fixing's better than the chromatic cube. Cycle Perforator Crocodile. Cool. Aggro them out. Alright, well... Now I still got 2 Terrors to track in hand. I can cast 2 next turn if I hit a land. I've already got double black to double spell them off of any land I draw. I'm anticipating a board wipe here. Damnation is in this cube. Oh, that's so good for me. Wow. They might have a good reanimation spell for Emrakul, but it doesn't ETB trigger. Alright. Pretty big miss on the draw step there, no land. Let's get a little value here. Lavamancer away the Strix without spending a card. Pick up Trespasser. I think I cut all my Delirium. Either way, I have to get rid of a card type here. Alright, now that I have Trespasser back as well, I can go ahead and exile Emrakul from grave in case they wanted to discard that for reanimation. Okay. Bunch of open mana from a base blue deck. They only have 2 cards in their hand, but I feel the best play is just double Terrors of the track here, rather than Trespasser. Might be nothing. Steam Core Scholar, draw 2, discard 2, or discard 1 instant or sorcery. They also have a 2/2 flying vigilance hanging around, so they discard a make disappear. They did discard a counterspell there. Cast Tameo, they have a single mana up. Okay, never mind, there's Mutavault. They do have 2 mana up for a potential 2 mana counterspell. Obliterate the Scholar. Obliterate Tameo and Lavamancer the Scholar just clears the board here entirely. They have like a Mutavault up on blocks, but I'm not attacking on the ground anyway. Okay, they're over it. We are super far ahead in cards and on board, and they scoop them up. That is 1-0 heading into game number 2. Here we are for game 2. Turn 2 Magda is always great. That's going to force your opponent to have some removal. Otherwise, you get a bunch of treasure off of her and cast stuff real early. So we'll drop out our Lightning Rod for removal here, and we've got all our great 2-for-1 value plays coming up after that. So far, so good. She's hanging around. They're going to blow her up when we move to combat here. Nope, I get a treasure. Pretty happy with that. Could just Bone Crusher, put the pressure on here. Plays poorly if they board wipe. They, again, are another just 5-color deck. They already have all 5 colors, so I expect board wipes and better cards for grinding out a long game. So I'm just going to play our tap land now, so even if they kill Magda, I can go untapped land Cruelty of Gix. Cruelty should be really good against them this early. Equipped creature gets plus ward 1. Whenever it attacks, conjure a random card from Tome of Gadwick's spellbook. Oh, alchemy. Alright. I have to read 12 other cards now. So they can get Preordain, Ponder, Opt, Consider, Serum Visions, Brainstorm, Thought Scour, Sleight of Hand, Peek, Quicken, Obsessive Search, or Piece It Together. Okay, so they just get a cantrip. Every time the creature attacks, they get a 1-mana draw card. Alright, this is pretty fine. I guess we find out if they have the counterspell here. I think I'd still rather Cruelty of Gix than play one of her really good creature threats. So they're more likely to have a way to blow up one of the good creatures than counter an enchantment. And then the enchantment lets me see exactly what's in their hand to know what to play around next turn. Plus it lets me tutor for my next biggest bomb. Next turn. No interaction, basically. They have Getaway Glamour. Destroy a creature if no other creature has greater power. So for 3 mana, they can blow up Grenzo or Shieldred. Okay. They're on 3 mana right now. They're going to play their 4th next turn and have Beza mana up. Bonnie and Primeval Titan are a big issue, but if we slow them down, that's going to be quite good. If I don't get rid of Beza, what is it going to do here? It's going to be a 4 mana 4/5 plus gain 4. I'm going to slow that down. They don't have any ramp towards their other cards here. So they're still 2 turns away. What is good here? Deep Cavern Bat's not terrible. An adversary. There's nothing in my grave though. Play Bat plus Giant in 1 turn. They Getaway Glamour Magda here. I mean, Crucius is pretty wild and dodges Glamour. Go Crucius. Okay. If they let Bone Crusher Giant resolve, the only thing Getaway Glamour can kill is Bone Crusher Giant, and they have to take 2 damage to kill it. And now here's Crucius, where Glamour still only targets the Giant. And then I've got treasure tokens between Crucius and Magda, so I'm just going to discard the Theater to get a more expensive spell. I could see playing it and then discarding Cut Down here for a more expensive spell, but either way, opponent was in a horrible spot, and they scooped them up there, so we are 2-0 heading into Game 3. Here we are for Game 3. Great value hand. Pretty slow, though. Happy to have the shove aside for sure. Okay, opponent's hand's pretty slow, too. Here's Overlord. It is the mirror match here. Swamp Mountain. Hey, Crucius, you're a great 3-drop. Terrors is cool. Could play Terrors, tapped Blood Crypt. Either of these is pretty great, but I'm going to go Crucius here. I think either when I play, they're just going to play a removal spell. So I don't think it matters a whole ton. Because they both die to removal without giving us anything. If they kill Crucius before the end step, or if they kill the Terrors before we declare an attack. Grixis. Okay, so they're just not drawing their non-basic lands. Or super non-basic land light Grixis deck. Heist us twice. Pretty frustrating card. The heist mechanic just in general is just such a massive feel bad. Alright, so here's our Shieldred to get blown up by one of our own removal spells. Actually, our removal is not very good at killing Shieldred. I think we only have like 1 or 2 cards that can actually kill it. Deluge is one of those cards. That might actually be the only one that can kill it. So what else do we have? Obliterating Bolts. Nowhere to run. Yeah, we have a bunch of 4 damage and 3 damage, so they hit the only removal spell in our whole deck that could kill the Shieldred. And the other card's probably one of the bombs. Yeah, Reanimate Carnosaur for 1 is brutal. It also discovers Mole Drifter for another 2 for 1. This is not good. There's the Steam Vents. They found a non-basic. We're down to 11. Blasphemous Edict, sure, another board wipe. Actually not the absolute end of the world for us. Should give our Lavamancer more fuel. And they have to kill an Overlord still. I mean, I guess if they have another board wipe, they get to kill 2 cards here. It's 1-for-1 removal on Overlord. Lavamancer, they have to kill this thing. At 9 life. I guess it's more like 11 life, because whenever they cast the Heisted spell with Triumphant Getaway, they gain another 2. But still, they can't be taken to a turn. Oh, hello there. Tears the Peak comes back here. Oops. Do this. Okay, now it really needs to be a board wipe. A Damnation or their own copy of Toxic Deluge. They already played the Blasphemous Edicts. Okay, Prismari command to kill just Luris, sure. Drain for 1 with Terrors. They're down to 8. Solemn Simulacrum, sure. I'm gonna shove aside that, because Lavamancer can go face. Shove aside cannot. I can surveil here. Actually, I just played Perforator Crocodile. Might be a little overcommitted into a board wipe. But I've got a second Terrors of the Track in my hand after this, and they're at like 1. Oh, I think I missed lethal. Hold up. I did. If I just attacked with Terrors and then played the other one, I could have shove-a-sided and Lavamancered the face. Because if I had 2 Terrors on board when the Simulacrum died, they would have been at 1 off of that. Yeah, since I was just flying over the Simulacrum anyway, I did not need to Crocodile it. We should have just attacked with the flying. Got that damage in, get a second terror, so they lose 2 when it dies. They'd be at exact 0 to me shoving aside the Simulacrum and Lavamancering their face. That was a pretty big miss there. I just got overexcited about being able to commit another creature to the board and kill one of their cards at the same time. Okay. I could randomly die out of nowhere here, which would not be good for me. I can shove aside my own card. Also Lavamancer it. Looks like it's going to be deadly here. Yeah, we might lose to that Mislethal here if they've got the right spell. Exile a creature, perpetually becomes an enchantment, put it onto the battlefield under your control. Wow. Yeah, I think I am losing to that. Because now they stab wound my Lavamancer and gain 1. Wait, but then I get terrors back and kill them with terrors. Yeah, no, I still win. Do I not? I actually think I still win here. Because they're only gaining 1 life. And then I can just attack them with Terrors of the Track to put them from 2 to 0. Okay. Probably deserved to lose to that punt, but did not quite lose to the Mislethal there, and we are 3-0 heading into Game 4. Here we are on the play for Game 4. No early plays, but plenty of interaction to keep us alive until Agrenzo. So I'm going to keep this. Let's surveil off of the Bloodstained Mire here. I guess I can Burst Lightning Llanowar Elves if they start with something like that, or Birds of Paradise. They play their own tap land though, so we'll grab the tapped off the Mire. Could use that for Grenza, but that's the only card I care about that land for, so I would rather try to find some kind of early game action. Especially against potentially blue-white here. All right, another 5-color deck. Archive and theater down. Some surveil going. These are not what I was hoping to surveil towards. Looking for any threats. Draw 2 more removal spells in a row. Impetuous Lootmonger. That's frustrating because the bad part about that card happens when it enters. So they heist me no matter what here. But I can Kolaghan's command that and make them discard a card, so I can 2-for-1 them for doing that. But I'm assuming there goes one of our best threats, most likely, when they get to choose out of 3 cards at random. Spell Pierce. Alright. Still got a million ways to kill that. I again feel bad for surveilling the land away, but I just feel like the odds of not drawing another land were pretty low. What will I even use here? Is this instant speed? I was the starting player, so this is a sorcery. So I used the sorcery speed 3 damage removal, I think, over the instant speed removals or the 4 damage removal. Alright, they actually don't look like they're 5 colors here from what we've seen. It's actually every color except green. Oh, surveil a flashback spell into the grave? That's value. You know what else is value? Nowhere to run against a ward card. They did take one of our cheap threats that would have been castable. I knew it. So rude. Hey, let's go. Shielded Mother tapped out. Just in time. Never mind. They have instant. Technically a turn off time. I did miss a land. But here she is, 1 turn later. Still good. Okay, they did not have the instant speed removal. They got the sorcery speed removal, sure. Alright, we're just trying to hit Grenzo now, and Crucius does that kind of single-handedly. Any land draw and we're there, because the treasure. So let's draw something more expensive than Burst Lightning, I think. I think that's the play, and keep the Bolt. Because I can do 4 to a creature for only 2. I'm still at the point of the game where I would rather be shooting creatures if they show up. I could go Expedient, and then I just grab a land. Then I know I'm playing Grenzo next turn. There's a lot of cards you can play in a cube that would make me want to Bolt instead of playing Grenzo, though. It's pretty close. I think I'm just going to guarantee Grenzo. Because there are also removal-heavy colors. Every color except green, all those colors have more removal. So we could Grenzo and then just heist a 3-drop removal spell from them if they play anything too bad. Oh, and they're just going to Brain Surge anyway, so just drawing cards. We're super fine then. If Crucius doesn't die, we're living the dream. An active Grenzo and an active Crucius. Yep. Fun little brainstorm combo, shuffle away the cards they don't want. And just Lingering Soul, some creatures to stop Crucius from attacking, sure. Alright. We're vibing. Come on out. Grenzo. And we get to Crucius this land into a spell. Ooh, a free Ashiok, you say? It's better than Flage, because Flage will go to their graveyard, which is bad for me, and I don't want to Infernal Grasp a single spirit. This is super rude. They even have the Ashiok avatar. Oh my god, I'm a monster. I am a monster. Oh, Grenzo. Gross. All right, well, we're 4-0 heading into game 5. Here we are on the draw for game number 5. We got a great opener with a Bone Crusher for their first threat if they're aggressive, and if they're not, we have the Magna to try to get treasures or pull removal from them. This is a really good curve here too, where we've got plenty of threats to play early and keep the pressure on them. No matter what we're drawing here. We're only one land from being able to cast everything in the hand. Yeah, so let's just curve the threats out one by one. Keep the pressure on as much as we can. Virtue of Loyalty, get a 2/2 Knight, fair enough. Jeskai colors over there, blue, red, and white. I'm definitely not trading Magda into that. Treasure tokens are straight value. I do not have removal for a 3/4 Brimaz, but I can trade Magda plus Stomp into Brimaz here. Not the complete end of the world if Magda trades for the Knight token either, because then we get the treasure and take the trade here. Yeah, this Brimaz is a problem and a half. We just don't have our 4 damage removal in this hand. Okay. Trade, get our treasure, and then I can Dracosaur next turn guaranteed. Yeah, this is fine. I can Trespasser, or I can Deep Cavern Bat them. I can also use this mana towards Grenzo if I want to play Trespasser this turn, and then I can go Bat plus Stomp next turn. I'm going to go Trespasser this turn. I'm not going to exile my own Magda to ping them for one, because we do have a Luris in this deck that can recast her. Toby, oh boy. Deck is aggressive over there. Can't attack or block alone, but it can certainly attack or block alongside Brimaz stuff. A 4/4 up on blocks. If I just pass, and then I Grenzo the turn after this, I got some problems here. Four blocker, force them into a 2/1 removal spell feels like one of the best potential solutions here. Cast their second spell, they get a Mox. Okay. Alright, they just pass here. You love to see that. Gonna ping Toby here. Alright. Give me the goodies, Grenzo. Find a removal spell. Oh, this would be double spelling, though. Shoot. That would flip Glutton back. So I gotta pick something worth it. These are... Apparition's very castable here. Can Apparition the Beast token? Oh, it only targets non-tokens. Dang. So I Apparition Brimaz. Probably. Or Sapphire Collector. I think they're both reasonable. They do have the blue source for Sapphire Collector, so I'm a little more worried about flashback and prowess nonsense than Brimaz stuff. If they want to double block Glutton, that's fine, though. I'm going to attack with it here because it's just going to be a 3/3 on blocks anyway, which doesn't help against either of these. Okay, awesome. Goodbye, Burmez. Good enough for me. Touch the Spirit Realm, exile Grenzo, yep. Swing for 4, sack the 1/1, or just hold back. Hold back it is. Cruelty of Gix. Sure. Rip a card out of their hand. Ophelia and Extraction Specialist. Whenever Ophelia attacks, exile non-land permanents. Turn it to the battlefield so they can keep re-triggering Knock the Moon. That's horrific if they just keep redoing Knock the Moon. Extraction Specialist is also pretty good, but Ophelia's worse. The problem is they can Extraction Specialist Ophelia so that if I kill the Specialist, Ophelia regains its abilities. Alright, Virtue of Loyalty it is. Start getting +1/+1 counters every turn. That is the plan. Grab a Deluge here. I think I can afford to grab a Deluge if I play a Shieldred. Get a little life gain here while I slow them down. And then I guess I will be deluging my own Shieldred, but I'll also be clearing the whole board against the Virtue and then just having a Dracosaur to win with post-wipe. Oh, Flyer. I don't like that. Non-land, non-token permanent. I can exile Touch the Spirit Realm, hold the phone. Could also... Oh, that's too expensive. I can't exile Virtue. I can exile this to heist a card. Even if I just kill Grenzo anyway, I heist another card first. Lelia's a consistent card draw engine for post-board wipe. So I've got multiple consistent card draw engines to play post-board wipe here. They're going to have a single Extraction Specialist to play around with. I can bat the Specialist too, I guess. I'm wondering if I want to Deluge and then play Lelia here and attack. Just haste damage in right now. It's probably better to bat the Extraction Specialist first. So I do attack with Shieldred. I don't think the board wipe is mandatory anymore. They are going to have one creature on board that can't attack or block now. Wow, that attack went really well for me. Actually. Oh, right, this is free. I'm dumb. I just saw the gigantic 3 and I assumed I can't afford it right now, but because it costs 3 less, it's free off Grenzo. Either way, that was an insurmountably good position for us after that. I've got the backup board wipe if things go really wrong, but we're already ahead on board. Their only creature on board can't attack or block. They're playing off the top because this thing doesn't do anything yet. Just buffs the whole board. Till next turn, then it seeks something out. All right. Gross stuff from just rakdosvalue.deck, Rakdos midrange, Rakdos bombs, whatever you want to call it. We are 5-0, which is the break-even point. We are getting as many gold as it costs to enter out of this draft, no matter what. But we're also only 2 wins away from a full trophy run. So we'll see if we can get there as we head into round 6. All right, here we are for game number 6. Start with a Surveil here. Everything in the hand's 3 or less mana here. Yeah, I'll ditch. I also need like double black before I would be interested at all in the 4th red for some of the cards in this deck. I mean, I've got like triple black spells in here, like Perforator Crocodile. I mean, I guess I could always just hardcast this Overlord too, so I could have kept the mana towards 5. Just very used to being super fine with impending it. Okay. Deep Cavern Bat looks fine here. Probably just draws removal from our opponent, but it's kind of what it's designed to do. We get to see what's going on in their hand too. Path to Exile. Exclude. Thragtusk, 6, and Brainstorm. If I hit 6, they have no proactive plays for a while. So I'm just going to hit 6 here. Unless they Path to Exile Deep Cavern Bat, which is just really good for me this early in the game to ramp up. Just hardcast an Overlord next turn. Shoot. They played Brainstorm, which means I don't get to know exactly what's in their hand now, which means that I needed to write it down on a notepad, but I didn't because I'm so used to Arena just showing me the cards. Should have got a notepad out. I've already completely forgotten. They have an Exclude, they have a Thragtusk, so the only important thing to remember is Exclude here. They have a Path to Exile too. That doesn't matter much. It's really the Exclude we're worried about. And I couldn't play into it even if I wanted to. Yeah, I think I'm just playing more mana towards hardcasting this for 5. I mean, I guess if I tried to impending the Overlord, they could exclude it and draw a card, and that would not be good for me. So that would be a way to play into them excluding here that I can avoid because I know it's in their hand. Yeah, if I hadn't seen what's in their hand, I probably would have impending the Overlord. Despite having a Kolaghan's Command up, because I still get the Hold Burst Lightning and the Blood token up. 4 mana now for our opponent. Mockingbird, copy something here. They've got a Path to Exile up, that's it. I can Kolaghan's Command the Harvester and make them discard a card, which is pretty good value. Let me double check. No creatures in grave, yeah. Discard a card, 2 to any target. I could also kill the Blood token instead of making them discard a card, but obviously it's just better to make them discard a card. Discard an Arid Mesa. So probably plenty of mana over there. They are tapped out of Exclude, so I can hardcast the Overlord. We did not see a board wipe from them. They could have drawn into one, but if they haven't, Overlord is going to be the super winning play here. Even if they path it. Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? We tap out for this, they path it, but it's not like I'm holding anything up here. So I get another mana and I get another threats by casting this. So I think this is still better than not casting. Alright, well, Lava Mancer's not a super fast threat, but they're low enough on life that it is a super lethal one. If it sticks around. Got my triple black spell. We'll grab a swamp. Crack the blood token, discard Lotus Cobra, draw a card. Makes me feel they do not have land 5. Yeah, they don't, so they don't get to play out their Thragtusk. We get to have their life total here. Cool. I'll ditch nowhere to run here, I think. Well, I could try to just kill them with Burst Lightning, so we'll probably do that. Okay, they just don't have a counter for Burst Lightning. Overthinking things a little bit there, but we are 6-0 now, remaining completely undefeated with this Rakdos deck, which is wild. This looks like a solid cube deck, but I mean, cube decks always look insane, so I was not expecting it to do this well, but just playing the consistent mid-rangey value-y plays has played so well for us today, all the cheap interaction. And we'll see if it can't continue as we head into the final boss here. We have 3 rounds in the chamber to get our 7th win in this draft. All right, here we are for game 7. A lot of interaction here. Not a ton of late game, but Overlord does solve that. Playing against green deck. Green-blue, there's Bristlybill. Goodbye, Bristlybill. And we'll play a Deep Cavern Bat on 2. See what's going on in their hand. Ooh, I like Toxic Deluge against green. They're usually pretty creature-heavy, but they're green-blue. The blue is not. So there's a Time Warp that's obviously horrifying. There's also Ramanap Excavator plus Fetch Lands, which is really good value. And a Vorinclex, which is also really good value for the double spell here. I think I just slow them down and take Ramanap and let them play crazy stuff on 5. Because if I like take the Time Warp and let them play into the Deluge, I'm just going to Deluge them and then they'll have the Time Warp back anyway. So I think I'm just doing what I can with Bat while I can, easily. Alright, we need another threat. Come on, Overlord. Give me a threat that I can play next turn before they play anything. Oh, that's such a miss. 16 creature deck said, heck no. You can have a bunch of spell. Tragic. Oh, they top decked a Slogurk, so they do have a 3-drop here. There's a strong one with fetches, right? Becomes a 4/4 trample immediately. And when I kill it, they put the fetch back in their hand. Yeah, they're green-blue fetches deck. There's a Lurrus with none of my 1 or 2 mana creatures. It's also awkward. So probably just on the Deluge plan. They make Slogurk pretty big. Play a Vorinclex and then I Deluge. They can have a Ramanap, but the other 2 threats are gone. And I still have a Lurrus to cast, an Overlord that's going to unlock soon enough. Chart a Course. Okay, they didn't have mana 5, so I don't get to 2-for-1 Deluge yet. I had to draw cards towards it. Proliferator Crocodile's another great post-board wipe card. The Slogurk is doing enough damage. I probably have to Burst Lightning it, even though I'm going to Deluge soon enough. I mean, I go to 15 and then I Deluge for 6. I guess I go to 9. That's fine. And then I have a Burst Lightning post-Wrath here to kill the Excavator with. If I hit a land for Lurrus, this is going to be great. Get a Lifelinker post-wipe, plus I can recast Deep Cavern Bat soon. I guess it could arguably be better not to draw the land. Because if I do draw the land, then I'm going to play Deluge Lurrus, and then Lurrus is at risk. If I don't, then I don't play Lurrus until I know that I can recast Bat in the same turn. Okay, I didn't hit the land, so let's gain 1 off of the attack here. And this could be gain 2, right? Because if they block, I gain 1 and I only have to shoot for 5. But yeah, like since Bat's gonna die either way, let's gain the life here. Perfect. And we deluge for 5. I don't know if like a snakeskin veil is in this cube. If it is, then I should deluge for 6, but I'm not gonna play around it because I don't know if it's in here. I'm just gonna do 5. GG from opponent. I doubt they're conceding yet. I mean, maybe they've got something insane in hand, and they're giving me the preemptive GG of you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's coming to you. Titan of Industry, yep. It's pretty insane. Blows up my Overlord and makes a 4/4. Just get soloed by one spell, as green decks can do to you. Yeah, I wouldn't be so disappointed by that if they didn't preemptive GG me before it. Now they can just Verdant Catacomb into a green-blue source and Time Warp with Titan on board. I don't even have the mana for Crocodile, even if that would help. It does not help enough. Yeah, no, I mean, they've got me here. I mean, our best play is to stop them from Time Warping us at least, but just take a million. They can just Venser back the Deep Cavern Bat and do it anyway. Yeesh. Titan of Industry is just way too big for our deck. We don't have like a Damnation in here, so we don't have any board wipe that can kill a really, really big creature like that. So there's no draws that are particularly viable here. They could like Venser one of these two and win the combat if they want, but I think they just keep that to Time Warp us. Yeah, you got me. This is dead to Venser no matter what way they want to play it. Bouncing the bat, bouncing whatever I try to cast this turn. It's very dead. Our first loss, and it's basically to one super big spell, sadly. That is 6-1 heading into game number 8. Alright, here we are on the draw for game number 8. Solid opening hand. It has the risk of flooding out, though. Crucius does nullify that a little bit, but they could always just have the removal for Crucius pretty early here. Lava Man has hit the board. Another super multicolored green deck. Just green-white for now. Voice of Resurgence here. I wish I had the cards in the grave to immediately Lava Mancer that thing, because I definitely would. If you can kill this when they have no other creatures on board, the Elemental just insta-dies. But if you kill it any time later, it's a solid 2-for-1 for your opponent. We have to make sure to play at sorcery speed against that card. If we're casting anything during their turn, they're making big elementals. Another fetch. Grab another forest. This is a pretty huge amount of fetches for just green. Yeah, I guess because you can use them with Raminaps and stuff. Not getting any like mega fixing value here or anything though. Yeah, 2-3 body against the Magda here is rough, but I get at least one Crucius trigger guaranteed, which is nice. We start filling the grave for Lava Mancer, drawing some castable spells. Shieldred's a big one. They're not ramping here, they're just guaranteed to play a land every turn. Temple Garden over play a fetch from grave. Okay. Garuk. Get rid of the Lava Mancer before I can kill the voice. Fair enough. Now they have a flipped Garuk, which is scary. Death touching wolves and stuff. Sack a creature, grab any creature to put in hand. Sure, Flyer can just delete Garuk still. I think I need to just play the Dracosaur, but I could go for Terrors of Track, it is big enough. If I could play any other spell this turn and play Terrors, I would, but if I can only single spell and the choice is between a 5-drop and a 2-drop, I'm getting that 5-drop down. I don't mind cut down. Whenever I cast a spell during their turn and it dies, they get the thing. So if I cut down right now in my end step, it still works. I'll get rid of the excavator before they get extra lands off it. Getting rid of Voice of Resurgence like wouldn't be bad either. But I don't have anything in hand I want to cast during their turn anyway. So I will just get the 3 toughness blocker out of the way, get a Magda swing in, potentially. I guess Magda doesn't swing to Death Touchers, but nobody does. Ah, 4 or 5. Savage Stomp to hand. Oh, don't have the land. Do not have the land. Oh my god. Vantasaur going ham here. Jesus. That's brutal. And Tears of the Track doesn't do anything about Guruk now. Deluge is not terrible, but I have to give up on Crucius for it. Number of creature cards in your graveyard. 1. Okay, the minus doesn't do anything yet. And if I board wipe, they still just start making a bunch of Death Touch Wolves afterward. I don't have anything to discard to the Crucius, though. I think I'm board wiping. Could Deluge and play Terrors in the same turn. I think this is worth it to get the immediate attack on Guruk. Oh, this does... It's still a 1-1 with no other creatures. My bad, I haven't played against Voice of Resurgence enough to remember that it does survive by itself. Yeah, that does make sense. If they have 1 creature on board, it is a 1-1. Tolsimir. Tolsimir's another removal spell on a stick? Okay, this is when it attacks, not when they play it. Good. But yeah, that's a gigantic Voice of Resurgence token now. And is useless. I'm looking pretty dead. Shieldred has to trade with the wolf, but honestly, probably the block I want to play anyway. At 10 life. Yeah, I think we were dead, however we played this. If I tried to just sit on the creatures we currently had, it's even more insurmountable. And I would never be killing the Guruk anyway, even if I did, like, wipe everything in their whole hand out. Oh, that's so funny. Has to block a wolf. So I could block the wolf token. That's a really weird little occurrence there. Jeez. Everything's an Armina can. 6-2, heading into the final battle. This will be the last game of Magic for this cube draft, win or lose. Alright, here we are on the play for our final battle. Excellent little opening hand here. If the Magda can get an attack or 2 in, that'll be incredible. If not, Overlord and Pending that is still going to give us some good early game plays. Commercial District off of the Misty Rainforest, so immediate red mana early means they probably blow up Magda. Be really happy to see them just play a Mana Dork. Ooh, they don't play a Mana Dork. And they don't blow up Magda. Here's a Crucius then. that we drew off the top, which is pretty absurd. Still hold up nowhere to run off the treasures, so let's get rid of Cut Down for a more expensive card. Oh yeah, Cut Down's 1 mana. I was like, wait, a 2-drop? How? 6. That is too big for all of our early removal. I mean, it's not too big for our Obliterating Bolt thing. Okay, I can still attack in and nowhere to run to win the combat. Sick. Love to see the block here. If I get 5 treasures, I just get my insane dragon here, so I'm actually working towards that at this point. I think I'm going to ditch Bat. Okay, they're just going to scoop anyway. I mean, the start is insane over here. But yeah, I wanted to play a way to keep all the treasure tokens, because then I'm on treasure 4. One more just attack declaration with Magda, and I can sack these to get our Dracosaur onto the board, guaranteed. And then still have all this other value plays working for us, so... Really, really good position there, and we are 7-2 for a full trophy run on our first cube draft this time around. Sick stuff from Rakdos again. It is very interesting that they changed the cube and gave us 1 million fetch lands and shock lands and stuff, so I did want to kind of try to show off the power of that fixing and take some of those relatively highly, but I mean, the way that the draft was looking there, I think we ended up in about the strongest deck we possibly could have ended up in. Certainly the strongest color pair. It was so widely open, we could have built it a million ways. As I said, we could have been super, super aggressive or even more controlling than this. But I like this kind of in-between that we set ourselves up for, where we played pretty well against pretty aggressive decks and pretty well against pretty slow decks. Didn't feel like we had any super glaring weaknesses outside of just really, really big green creatures. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this deck build. But I think if we did draft like pure aggro from the start, that might have played even better, because we played against a lot of slow, splashy decks, because everybody's excited about all these fetch lands and shock lands and stuff and getting 1 million colors of mana. So if you can just really aggro them out, which you certainly can in this cube, then you can really easily win those matchups. So yeah, I think this is just a great draft pod to be Rakdos in. And that is going to be 6,000 gold and a few random rare rewards for our prizes. And that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.